sonho está se tornando realidade. Agora é a hora de ver o céu e a terra tremer.
Tremer vai ser invadido, vou quebrar tudo aqui.
Aqui no delay. Vamos receber com muito, muito barulho Viviana chegou, terminal Madrid, enquanto isso. Emocionada. Uou! Olha isso, gente! Olha isso! Qual é seu nome? Melina Mel. Palmas pra Melina Mel. Coisa linda. Girls, thank you so much for being here. Wow, it's a pleasure. First of all, congratulations on the show Sandman. Wow, a huge fan base since the comics here in Brazil. And this spring adaptation was long awaited. Were you familiar with Sandman's universe before the series? First of all, I just like to say my colleagues here to say we love you and thank you for this incredible response today. And to the series as a whole, it was honestly made with so much love and everybody put so much of themselves into it. To answer your question, I was familiar with Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman, a great friend of mine, Tim Blanks, who's a brilliant writer, said to me, there's this writer that you will love. He's called Neil Gaiman. He writes about life and the human experience in a way you've never known. It's beautiful, with fantasy, referencing history in a whole new emotional way. And I read Ocean at the End of the Lane and I fell in love with that book. And over the years, many people had talked to me about the Sandman comics and said, you have to read these comics. You will love them. They are you. And when I first heard about the role, I was very interested. And I read the comics and I realized they were right. I love them too. What about the two of you?
So for me,
told you?
So for me, I became aware of Neil Gaiman's work because I read American Gods. That was the first introduction to and I was so taken with the way he explores the human condition, the way he explores our differences, our similarities. And I had read The Sandman, I read the comics years ago, before. Honestly, before this was ever a thing, I couldn't have imagined this in my wildest dreams. Yeah, I really couldn't. So I read The Sandman, and when I got the opportunity, when this role came up, I had already felt so connected to death. I had never seen a death explored in this way, and it stayed with me forever. And it's honestly a dream that I get to be here, that I got to be this role.
Wonderful, amazing women said, I just think Neil Gaiman is an absolute genius. I've asked him so many times, I'm like, what goes on in your head? It's just so about the human condition, about who we are as people. It delves into our kind of like wildest fantasies and our deepest fears, and it takes you there, and you go there and you experience it. And I just think it's so beautiful. And to think that he wrote this when he was like, what? I think he was about 27. It's such a privilege to be part of this show and to share it with everyone. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm in The Sandman. I'm like, what? It's amazing.
I told you yesterday when we met that they will go crazy like that. A gente avisou que seria essa recepção calorosa. Que legal.
Can I say, honestly, you guys, that we were told you were the best fans in the world, and you are.
I think Neil is one of our great modern day poets. I think that he has an acute sensitivity and emotionality and obviously a great intellect, but he seems to be led by that sensitivity about what it is to be human and the luxury of fantasy and the darkness where it takes us. And I think he opens a portal that's all his own, that pulls us in and hypnotizes us.
What from your characters would you like to have in your real lives? Or maybe that what you admire on your characters? Oh wow, I mean there's so many. I mean for me, I think death is extraordinary. And obviously our beautiful Kirby is like delivered on every aspect of it. But I think what I love about that character is it just gives you a different insight into death, what it means, about loss, and it really makes you think about that. And it's such a beautiful portrayal of something that, well for me anyway, like there's a lot of fear there, there's unknown, and to think that it can be comforting, I just think is a really beautiful thing. So I think for me, death is the character that I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
We are going to talk about it.
But there are so many as well.
Gwendolyn, in the series, your character Lucifer is very subversive. We know that Neil Gaiman was inspired by David Bowie. I love him. What was it like for you
you to recreate such an iconic figure. What were your inspirations? I always wanted to ask you about it.
I really do love Lucifer. I really do. And I think that Neil created Lucifer at a time where it was a very subversive, revolutionary portrayal of Lucifer. We hadn't seen Lucifer in this particular form before, of this kind of romantic junkie, and someone that was very disenchanted by life, but very beautiful. And so I just went back to the graphic novels, and I looked at what it was that first created that character. And I thought about what is evil in our modern lives. And I thought about how Lucifer had been an angel and then cast down to hell. And I thought, what is evil in our modern lives? I believe it is disconnection, it is isolation, and it is a total lack of empathy. And in terms of finding evil in our everyday lives, I just read the news. And I thought about bureaucracy, and I thought about the difficulties that we have in our modern societies, and I thought about what it's like to have a lifetime of disappointments, coupled with wins. And that's how I went about creating that Lucifer. The idea of a fallen angel totally disenchanted by life. Yeah, I mean, I did look at David Bowie. I looked at all of his iterations, and what occurred to me was that I saw this video where David Bowie's saying you've always got to push yourself, you've always got to change, and change like a chameleon, and move yourself into territories where if you feel a little bit uncomfortable, then you're in the right zone. And that's what I did with myself. I thought about the spirit, and rather than replicating something exactly, I thought about what David Bowie stood for.
Or others?
I mean, just so many, truly so many astounding characters. And I'd like to say that Vivian and Kirby give astounding performances in the show, and I greatly admire them. They are both truly astounding. And I'd also like to say that the portrayal of Desire by Mason Alexander Park is sublime.
What are your expectations for the second season?
We have many, right?
For me, in terms of the future, what I'm so excited about, and it was something that I was so excited about when I read the comics, was was getting to know my family more.
Yes.
You know, I'm so excited for that family dynamic. I know, anyone who's a fan of the comics knows that we are highly dysfunctional, and I think that there's so much more to be explored in that world. I can't wait to do it.
Do you want to answer something?
No, I'd just love to be there, to see that dysfunctional family. I think Luciana should be there, kind of going, what's going on, keeping them in check.
Just monitoring the influence.
Monitoring them. Yeah.
Gente, ó, para tudo, falando em segunda temporada, a gente recebeu uma mensagem aqui de um certo escritor britânico.
Primeiro na segunda temporada?
You know essa notícia, né? Did you know about this?
I knew.
I knew you knew. What was the most difficult scenes for you to shoot? Maybe emotionally, maybe physically? I want one each.
Well, my most difficult scene was the scene, obviously, Dream and I, Tom, amazing, Morpheus, King of Dreams. We are walking along, we were actually walking along in Hammersmith, we're walking along and we go up into to Harry's house. He's playing the violin, and that actor was wonderful. His name is John Romney, and we shot that as a continuous scene. We walked along the river, and then we went up to his house. So the whole thing almost felt like we were living it in real life. And And I went upstairs, and this John, he had such deep emotionality, and then, you know, he was playing that violin, and so when I tell him it's his time, I mean, that was one of the most difficult days of the whole shoot for me. I was so emotional, so I think we were so deeply connected because we just spent days just walking and talking and thinking about life and death. So for me, that was one of the hardest, but one of the most rewarding scenes.
I cried.
Vocês choraram, vocês choraram, né? What a lovely scene. Yeah.
You guys?
I mean, I just loved doing all of it, but I think my hardest one is when Luciana discovers Morpheus on the beat, and I had to run, and we did so many takes of that because there's this kind of like weird black sand, and underneath it moves, and I'd forgotten how to run. I was like, oh god, this is like my acting moment, and I can't run. That was really difficult. We had to do that quite a few times.
I did love filming in hell. I did love it. So much of it, the set was really extraordinary. Quite a lot of it was already there. But the moment where Lucifer looks out across at the demons was just, when we filmed it, a green screen and maybe a tennis ball. So Tom and I were tasked with really taking in those millions of demons in all of their glory. And the great thing about working with Tom Sturridge is he's a truly brilliant actor. He totally encompasses dream. He really does. And when he's on set with you, he is in character. He's so alive as Morpheus. So you just respond to him. And he made it easy. He made it easy for me because he's astounding.
Bom, gente, eu queria ver o resto do vídeo que tava aqui, porque não sei se vocês perceberam. Cadê? Ó, a gente tá aqui. Quem tá aqui ainda? Tem alguém aí ainda?
Kirby, wanna touch it out?
Ela tá chorando,
No,
gente.
honestly, I forgot. You know, you shoot a lot and you forget what got cut. And I spent such a long time when it came to this role, really deliberately delving into death. And typically, it's a subject that we all avoid because it's very painful. We've lost people that are close to us, and so. What's interesting about that scene is I forgot that one, and it actually makes me really emotional, not just that scene, but because... Woo! Okay, Denise, is everything
But it's very wonderful.
because I do feel like as much as things can be difficult and life is hard for everyone has their unique hurdles, to be here, to be on this planet in which we could have a utopia, we are so lucky that this even exists, that we can be here, that we can connect. And I don't think there is anyone, even as hard as things get, I don't think there ever is enough time. I don't think there's enough time to meet everyone, go everywhere, experience everything. So you have to just do as much as you can in the time you have. And I don't think I've ever had a role that has really taught me things that have changed the way I live my life.
YOLO.
Yeah. I think for everybody who watches, I think death is, your version of death is capable of inspiring reflection for all of us about this subject. And it's very, very intense and sensitive and real. And I think, as you said, it changed your perspective of death after Sandman. And it changed our perspective of death. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gente, vamos fazer foto? Let's take a picture.
Let's take a picture with them.